To know my story, you need to know where I came from. I was adopted as an infant out of an orphanage here in Linden. My mom and dad showed me unconditional love, but as a kid, I didn't know what unconditional love really meant. I always felt as a kid I needed to earn my worth. I was always the fighter. I was the first one to get involved in the bad stuff. And that evolved into drinking and drugs as I got into high school. By the time I was in college, I'd already been arrested twice, doing just stupid stuff. And then in college, my dad passed away, and I had to reassess what my priorities were, and I actually changed a lot of my life. I refocused, went from the hard life of partying and playing to a hard life of working, and graduated and got a job at a local bank. Was the youngest senior vice president of that local bank in its 100-year history. Worked hard to be successful. Met my wife at that bank. We ultimately got married and have two wonderful children. She retired from her work or quit teaching for a while to stay home with our girls. And I worked harder to earn and be the most successful businessman I could be. And I was pretty daggone good at it. And the Bank One came along and offered a position in Phoenix, Arizona. We got there, we were looking for houses, and got a call from my wife's father that her mother unexpectedly was ill and she needed to come home right away. So instead of relocating, I resigned, and we stayed in Louisville. My wife and I purchased two Christian bookstores, thinking, surely, we're living the right life for God, and we're working hard, and we're going to invest all we have in these two stores and working ungodly hours. There was one time I can still remember where she brought our two girls up middle of the evening, it's 9, 10 o'clock, said they just want to see their dad one time before they go to bed this week. And it kind of shocked me that maybe I was missing something, but I didn't really understand. Those two businesses, or those two stores, instead of giving us success, drained every penny we had. I was lying to my wife every day about how financially, what kind of financial struggles we were having. And it just got worse and worse. We filed bankruptcy. It got to the point where I was no longer in control, and I knew that. I didn't know what answers we were going to have, and I decided it was time to just end my life. So I had planned and prepared all the steps necessary to take my life, and it was Easter weekend. Saturday before Easter is when the police came to arrest me because we had bounced a check. It was that bad. And instead of what my plans were, I found myself sitting in a holding cell downtown Jefferson County. Not the most proud moment of my life, having been arrested in front of your family and your children and such. But that night, I had nothing else to do, and I found myself sitting in a holding cell next to a black gentleman we would have never met on the street. We came from different socioeconomic backgrounds, lifestyles, everything. But we just sat all night long and talked about God and talked about Jesus and what was our purpose in life. And it was in that moment, in that evening, where I finally figured it out that I can't control my life. I had to give control of my life to God. Although I knew life wasn't going to be easy. I mean, I had to go home to an angry wife, a confused family, and a very uncertain future. But I decided if I'm going to make this, I'm going to make it because God's going to be in control and I'm not. So I went home to explain to my wife what was going on, and we committed to making the changes we needed to make to giving our life to God. All of a sudden it became not easy, but I was content. The relief was there, and I was exposed. There's nothing else to hide. Although I gave my life to Christ and was baptized as a child, it was in that moment I gave my life to Christ.